We're going to talk about how we can solve equations on graphs. So hopefully you can see these lines. So on this particular graph, they've already drawn the line for y equals x minus 1, which is here. And they've drawn the line 3y plus 2x equals 12. Now, if you were going to draw that line for yourself, you would need to first rearrange that so that you had just y equals and your x and number part on the other side. I'm not going to cover this in this video, but I do have a video that will show you how to change the subject of an equation. But they've already drawn these for us, so we don't need to worry about that aspect. So, well, basically what we've got is a pair of simultaneous equations here, and they want us to solve these and find out what the x and the y is that fits both equations. And so graphically this is super easy. Once you've plotted the lines, all you've got to do is work out where they cross, because that is the one and only spot where they are both the same. So then we can go down from that spot to find out what the x value is, and that's a 3 in this case. And we can go across in this direction to find out what the y value is of that point, which is a 2 in this case. So that is the basic concept of solving equations graphically, is where do the lines meet. So I'm going to do a slightly different version just so you can see it happens not just with straight lines. So here we have a quadratic graph with a U-shaped curve. So I've already gone ahead and plotted that one on here. So this is the graph of y equals x squared minus 3x minus 4. And if you'd been doing this particular one in the test, you would have had to fill in the table and draw this picture for yourself. But I've done those stages already. Now down here it asks us to write down the solutions of x squared minus 3x minus 4, which is this curve, equals 0. So how are we going to do that using the graph? Well, on this side, we've got the line y equals x squared minus 3x minus 4, which is this curve. And on this side, we've got the line y equals 0. And where does y equal 0? Y equals 0 here, anywhere along this line here, which we normally refer to as the x-axis in this particular case. So to find our two solutions, we're literally, where does the curve cross with the line? So it crosses here and it crosses here. So it's just a matter of reading those off. So this one here is where x equals minus 1. And this one here is where x equals 4. And those are the two solutions. So we're now going to look at a slightly more complex one that they're asking here. So we've got what looks like a completely different curve, because we've got x squared minus 4x minus 1 equals 0. But in the question it says, by drawing an appropriate linear graph, so we're only supposed to be drawing one extra line, not a whole new curve, write down the solutions. So the secret here is that we need to take this and turn it into one that has x squared minus 3x minus 4 on one side, and it'll have something left over on the other side. So let me just write this out a bit bigger. So we've got x squared minus 4x minus 1 equals 0. So the first thing I'm going to tackle is the fact that I want minus 3x here instead of plus minus 4x. So to get that, I'm going to need to add an x on to get back up to minus 3. And what I do to one side, I must do to the other. And you'll notice I didn't leave a lot of space there, so I'm going to move over just slightly. So we've got x squared. This will give us minus 3x minus 1 equals x now. Now, in the original equation that we dealt with, it had minus 4 on the end. We've got minus 1. So in order to get minus 4, this time I'm going to need to take away 3 more. And what I do to one side, I must do the other. So I've got x squared minus 3x minus 4. So I've got all of that, which is that curve that we were given to start with on this side. And now on the other side, I've got x minus 3. Okay. So what we need to do now is plot the graph of y equals x minus 3 on this graph. Okay. Now, if you understand about graphs, you'll know that it's going to cross at the point minus 3 here, because this is the C, the y-intercept. And because it's x, it's going to go through at a particular angle. But what I'm just going to do, the simplest thing to do, is I know it's there. So when x is 1, 1 minus 3 is minus 2. When x is 2, 2 minus 3 is minus 1. I'll do one more. When x equals 3, 3 minus 3 equals 0. So that should be enough points for you to see where the line needs to go in here. So I'll draw it as carefully as I can. Obviously, it's not ideal doing it with a great big chunky pen like this, but we'll get the idea. So that is our line there. So this one here was the y equals 0 line, and this one up here is y equals x minus 3. So from here on in, it's exactly the same as we've done before. Where does this line cross with the curve? That's what we're looking for. So the first one is here, which I would say is about halfway between those two. So that would make it minus a half. So the first one is x equals minus a half, or 0.5 as I'm writing it. And this one here, again, I'm not being terribly precise here. You ought to be a bit more accurate. So that again is sort of halfway there. So that would be 4.5. Now I might need to be a bit more precise there. Perhaps that's actually more like minus 0.4. And that one might be more like 4.4. So be as accurate as you can, but it's a bit difficult with a chunky line. So this is how you go about solving graphs, solving equations using graphs.